Good morning. It's pretty early on Thursday. Let's see. Oh, it's a little after 6. Chris just left for work. Chris did morning chores, and then I joined him to take the mower off the tractor and get the spear on and get it set. We have a load of straw coming this morning. It's not really a 2-person job to take the mower off the tractor. It just happened that he was just coming in from chores as I was heading out, and he joined me. We are leaving tomorrow, probably like midday-ish, to go on vacation. And we find ourselves with all of these strawberries. How many quarts? This is a 6-quart container. And sure, I want to take some strawberries on our trip. Oh, we're going to stay in a condo where we're going. So, so we have a fridge and stuff. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'll just take some strawberries. We do not need this many strawberries. So last night I was thinking about it, and I was thinking like, maybe I can, maybe I can make a batch of jam before we go. And then I just started thinking about all the steps required to make a batch of jam. And it was a lot. And then I was thinking about, I don't like frozen strawberries. Like when you buy the smoothie mix at the supermarket, those frozen strawberries are awful. They're just totally awful. The flavor's not good. The texture's not good. The color's not good. Like it's a fail on all counts. Sure, you can throw them in your smoothies. Maybe they still have some vitamin C left. They definitely will have some fiber. I don't know. I shouldn't be so negative about this because I know plenty of people eat them. To me, they just seem like a waste. But I remembered last night as I was laying in bed, that we used to be able to get locally these strawberries. They were like sliced strawberries packed in syrup, and they were outstanding. And I love strawberry shortcake. It's really one of my favoriteest desserts. And so I had bought that in the past to make strawberry shortcake. Before we lived on a farm. So anyway, I started thinking about that. I was thinking about these strawberries packed in syrup. Like the texture was great. The color was great. The flavor was obviously very sweet, but it was still in my mind, a better use of the berry than one of those smoothie berries. So I did some reading about it. And I was right. The sugar has a preservative effect that preserves all those qualities about the berry during the freezing and staying frozen stage. So that's what I'm going to do this morning. The first thing that I need to do is to make simple syrup. Simple syrup is always 1-to-1 sugar and water. I think that in the past I've made 2-to-1 sugar to water to feed the bees when we kept bees. And I'm pretty sure that's called something else. I might be wrong about that. So I'm just getting my sugar together now. I had an idea that I was gonna make this. I want my kitchen segments to be like a cooking show where it's magic. So then I'm getting ready and to do this, and we didn't have much white sugar. So I'm using all the white sugar we had, which is about 2.5 cups, and then I'm making up the rest with light brown sugar. I don't know. I feel like it'll taste good. Who knows? Okay, so simple syrup is 1-to-1 sugar and water, and you put it in the stove and bring it to a boil until it is a clear solution. In this case, it's probably not going to be clear and colorless. It's just going to be clear and a little bit brown. That may affect the color of these berries, but I bet they're going to taste delicious with the added molassesiness of the sugar, of the brown sugar. So, okay, so I'm just going to hull and slice these berries. This kitchen setup isn't great for my cooking program. I can't get far enough from the camera to show you what I'm actually working on. and also have good lighting and also have good workspace. So that's why these videos are so boring, because you're just looking at my face. I love to cook and I love to entertain, but honestly, I don't do that much cooking. In the past, I've cooked a lot, but we are busy. So what happens when we have fresh produce like this and the asparagus is that like it might not ripen at a time when I'm ready to cook a big meal. I mean, strawberries you just eat, and I have eaten plenty. I eat many of them standing in the garden. I eat any strawberry that has any kind of flaw that might cause it to go bad quicker. I eat a lot of strawberries, but we still have a lot. Let's give this simple syrup a stir. It is a pretty nice like toffee color. Okay, this is my brown simple syrup. Again, this is like 2.5 cups of white granulated sugar and 1.5 cups of light brown sugar with 4 cups of water. I don't think it'll affect the flavor of these at all, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I was just going to talk about ways that you can use these. You thaw the berries in the syrup, and then you can drain and rinse. This is all what I've learned this morning from like Cal State Extension or whatever. According to them, you can drain and rinse the berries if you want to reduce your sugar intake. All of the beautiful preservative effects of the berries won't be washed away. They'll still be delicious. They probably still have a higher sugar content than they would if you froze them without, but they're not wasted. So I think that's a pretty good compromise. Then, or you can use them in the syrup to make strawberry shortcake, or you can put them on pancakes, or you can make a yogurt parfait, or you can put them in a smoothie. I mean, and if you drain the berries, you can also use that syrup, right? And if you boil the syrup down until it's a little thicker, it can become a pancake syrup that you can use in any other application, right? You can use it for making cocktails, or, you know, making or sweetening iced tea, or, I mean, there's a lot of great uses. And I feel like people come over here and they get things, you know, when we cook a dinner party, they get to eat things here that they can't buy at the supermarket because I have, you know, made these preserves or made these, you know, whatever, kind of at the peak of summer, and then saved them so that, you know, it's just a little special, right? And even if you're not cooking for like, you know, a dinner party, like it's special for your family. I know as this person who grew up with a lot of this kind of food, like as a child, you take it for granted. I mean, my grandmother used to even can grape juice. Oh God, I would go in. Hang on, I can hear my simple syrup. Okay, so this is totally dissolved. So at the house that my grandfather built for their family, my mom's family, obviously, there was a, what am I gonna call it? Preserves cupboard. You would walk out of the kitchen into the breezeway of the house, which is I think, I'm pretty sure something very Midwestern. Like I've never heard anyone out here in the East say breezeway. But you would walk out into the breezeway from the kitchen, and if you made a left and went through the swinging louvered saloon doors that were painted blue, you would be in the preserves cupboard. And in there was all of the canned goods that my grandmother made, but also the seeds that my grandfather saved for next year's garden. And I have really happy memories of that particular room. I mean, obviously I'm super food motivated. I love eating. Oh, this one is too soft to go in, so. I've always wanted to recreate that in my own home. And one day I was shopping at Architectural Salvage with a good friend, and who happens to be an outstanding woodworker, like an unbelievable woodworker. Like the patience and the tenacity that requires is something that I do not have. Yeah, so there was 1/2 of a swinging louvered saloon door at Architectural Salvage, and I told him the story, and he said that someday he'd make me some, but I think that's after retirement maybe. But yeah, so I think that like a lot of my a lot of my childhood memories are around, you know, preparing and eating preserved foods. I just think because my family always lived in an agrarian community. Even when they weren't farming, they still, lived in the country. And so this is just what you did. And it's a tradition from obviously before you could go to the supermarket and buy strawberries from Ecuador year round. Oh, this strawberry is rotten to the core. Look at it. Beautiful on the outside, rotten on the inside. Weird. Look at this baby. Yeah. Okay, this is the strawberries. So that was about 5 pounds of strawberries, and it makes about 4 quarts, according to this bowl, of sliced strawberries. And now I'm gonna pack them in jars. Okay, so my favorite jars for freezing are the 3-cup glass mason jars. I don't have any of those right now because they are all either in the freezer full of stock or full of asparagus. So there's 2 kinds of mason jars. This is like canning 101. A wide mouth and a regular. So this would be the wide and this would be the regular. This is it. The only 2 sizes. You know, when you buy a jar, it's gonna be one of these. Okay, so this is a quart size and this is a pint size of the regular mouth. You can see maybe that the shoulder on this one is more pronounced than on this one, but they do both have shoulders. So when you freeze, you need to freeze 1 inch below the shoulder. So basically like there, right? So it only holds, that brings this, pint size jar down to basically 1 cup and maybe a little bit more. And it does the same thing with the quart. This one doesn't have, it does have graduations on it. So I wouldn't put more than 2 cups in this quart. And then for the wide mouth quart, the shoulder is a little less pronounced. I kind of probably fill that right up to the shoulder. So 3 cups, which is not, that's not the recommendation, right? It's not that, so what happens if you fill them past the shoulder is that as the frozen food expands inside, it pushes up on the shoulder, straight up. It does not conform to the shape of the jar and it breaks the jar. I do get broken jars occasionally because I do kind of push the limit. And when you break a jar, all the food in there is waste, right? Because you have no idea whether there's glass shards in there, whether you can see them or not. So my favorite one is this and these usually have a freeze line on them. This one does not. Oh, yes, it does right there. So right there, there's a line on the jar that says freeze fill. So, so you can get 3 cups of frozen soup or stock or whatever in a jar like this. And you can get 3 cups of frozen soup or stock or whatever in a jar like this, and they take up less room in the fridge or in the freezer. So this is my favorite all-around jar. Also, I love drinking out of these, like a big old Bloody Mary. So anyway, these are a little bit harder to find. In fact, I have been trying to buy some, and I haven't had any luck. So if you have these jars, this is what I would recommend. Or if you have the wide mouth pint size. So this would be the wide mouth pint. It's a straight jar. So you're not gonna have any of that problem with broken, it'll still break if you fill it up. But if you fill it it says for freezing, you can't, maybe, there you go, for freezing. That was longer than I thought it was gonna be. But, so what I'm gonna work with today are these, because this is what I have. So I'm gonna fill them up. I do use a canning funnel. Okay, so this is a canning funnel. It's made specifically to fit inside the regular mouth. Boop, it makes it a little bigger. You can ladle things in. I did get this like fancier canning funnel, which works the same way and has an even wider mouth. So even when I use this fancy canning funnel, it still gives me a bigger target. So I'm gonna use that and fill these jars up. So I wanna pack these strawberries pretty tight, right? Because I want strawberries, not syrup. Like I filled it like this, more than we need, and then I'm gonna shake it down. Ba-boom, packed strawberries. So I might top these up with just a couple more, That might be pushing it, but yeah, just a couple more. There's some room. Okay, so that is how high I'm filling it. You know, like I make these videos and I give a lot of information, but no one should follow them. I don't even know why I bother. The purpose of this, I'm just showing you what I do. Like what you should do if you're gonna do any canning or preserving is you should get information from your local extension or any university extension or from the Ball Big Blue Book. Although I think that's mainly more for canning. For canning and preserving, there are some like definite food safety issues. I feel like freezing is wonderful because like you can be pretty fast and loose. But if you overfill these, if you take my example and overfill these, and then have broken jars, like I don't want you coming for me. Like, oh, see that one shook down, but I'm gonna take some out of this one. Okay, so whatever is over the limit here, I am gonna eat with my breakfast. Okay, so from the 5 pounds, I have 3, I'm gonna show you a clear one, a colorless one. So I have 3 quart jars like this and 1 wide mouth pint. Now I'm gonna ladle the simple syrup over the berries. It's not all the way cool, but I think it's gonna be fine. One thing I would recommend if you're gonna do any kind of canning is to get a nice big ladle. Like the ladle that comes with your like silverware set is too small. You're gonna be ladling for days. Okay, so I brought the syrup over. So that is about 1 cup of syrup with the berries. So it's just filling in the gaps. The berries should be covered, submerged. So, but what I'm doing is filling them till it's like mostly full, all of them, and then I'll top them up. I just want to make sure we have enough. Again, this was 5 pounds of berries and I made 2 quarts of simple syrup, which is going to be more than enough. Simple syrup will keep. You can keep it in the fridge sealed for, I think, a couple weeks, 2 weeks maybe. I feel like I've read that previously, but if you're concerned about it, definitely double check. Simple syrup is a useful thing in the kitchen. You can use it for cocktail making. You can use it for your next batch of strawberries or raspberries. You know, if you're in a situation like me or when your raspberry canes start fruiting, raspberries are very easy to grow. If you want to foray into growing soft fruits, that's where I would say to start. We had a very productive raspberry bed at the old farm that took like 0 work and like 0 work, I'm telling you, aside from like taking the berry off the cane and putting it in my mouth. Okay, so this is what it looks like. The brown syrup isn't too bad. It's floated up a little bit off the top, or off the bottom. The fruits have floated up a little bit off the bottom. And again, we don't want any fruit exposed without being in the syrup. So what I read was to put a piece of crumpled wax paper or parchment paper in that place. When you're making pickles, when you're making like a fermented pickle or a sauerkraut, you put like a glass weight on top of the fruit. But for freezing, I guess that's not the way. I thought we had some wax paper, but I didn't find any. So we do have parchment paper. When I use parchment paper to like line a baking dish, I always like save the scraps, any scraps that might be, but just because like, I just don't want to waste anything. So, so this is a perfect use, for those kinds of, those situations. Okay, so here's crumple. And then I'm putting it in. We might need more. We might need 2 of those quarters in these bigger ones. Well, crumple it loosely. We want it to take up space. I'm going to talk about lids and rings. This is the lid. Nope, they're all pre-used. This is the lid, this is the ring, this is the closure system for any kind of preservation jar, mason jar, whatever. When you're canning, these lids must be brand new. But when you're freezing, I just use any old one that's been used for taco seasoning. So that's screwed down. You can see the parchment paper in there pressing the berries down below the level of the syrup. Anyway, that's everything. I don't know if anyone gets anything useful out of these segments. I haven't posted any yet. Let me know if you get anything useful out of this. Okay, I'm still here in the kitchen doing some other stuff, and I thought it was something that I should have mentioned. Like, I have a lot of canning jars. I love them. I think they're a super versatile food storage item. I think even if you only have a small kitchen and room for only a few things, I say get rid of half of those coffee mugs that say world's greatest whatever and put canning jars in that place. But if you don't have any and you're not interested in having any, you could definitely use, you know, the jar that your pasta sauce came in, or the jar that whatever came in. Anytime we get a nice jar or bottle. Oh, look at this. This is a nice one. Blue cheese stuffed olives were in here. You know, like, I hang on to these. They are super useful. And if you want to like put something in a container to give away, or, you know, to send home with a friend, like, they don't have to worry about, oh, look at this one. This is a wonderful jar. It had a spice mix in it. That's perfect for, who knows, millions of things. This one had jam in it, blackberry jam. And look, it has these faceted sides. It is not hard for me to find the beauty in anything. Okay, I'm signing off again.